What is up, my friends, and welcome to Hobble Create, a tutorial series where I'm going to teach you how to automate pretty much everything with Create. And it's going to be especially useful if you've never really tinkered too much with Create before. This is going to give you a head start. It's going to teach you how to make some contraptions, how to automate them, and we're going to have a blast. So if you're excited for that, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and remember to leave a like. So right off the bat, I'm going to assume that you know a little bit about Create. You've done a little bit of tinkering. You're not really sure what the fuss is about. You've seen some people make some awesome contraptions, but you're not really sure how to do it. Well, this is a series for you, my friends. Now, to make things simple, I'm going to go ahead and put some chapters down at the bottom there. That way you can skip through to find something that you may find a little bit more interesting. And it's going to kind of keep this a little bit more organized as I try and attempt a tutorial series. Now, for those of you that haven't done any tinkering yet, let me do a very brief overview of how to do a little bit of Create, what it's all about, and then we're going to dive right into our first project. Now, Create is a little bit different for every person. Some people do like to use the schematic cannon and build something in creative mode and then use the cannon to go ahead and build it perfectly in survival mode. Some people like to use it for decoration because it's a really good way to add some motion into your world. And Minecraft, it's kind of a static game. But for me, Create is all about automation, making factories and just having a good time automating. And that's what this series is going to be about, automating everything. So everything in the Create mod requires rotational power, also known as stress units or SU, and there's three main ways that you're going to be generating stress units to begin with. Option 1, you can use the water wheel, which if you've watched any of my series, you'll know that this is probably my favourite option, and then once you get to the nether and you get your soul sand, you can then do a little setup like this, and you can generate 320 per water wheel. Option 2 is to use a windmill. A lot of people do prefer this because you can get a lot of stress units out of this thing. So if I plug this in right now, you can see that we are generating 512 stress units. If I go ahead now and add 2 additional sails to this, you'll see we're now generating 1,000. The only problem is it is quite an expensive craft. You do need access to wool, which means you do need to get yourself some sheep, and you already need to have andesite alloys. But other than that, it's a fantastic way to generate stress units. And option 3 is the absolute earliest game that you're ever going to generate stress units, and that is using a hand crank. You can hold down right click, it will absolutely decimate your hunger level, but very easily you can generate 256 stress units, the same as our beginner water wheel, and if you crouch you can spin it in the other direction. But now that we know how to generate stress units, all we'd need to do then is transport this using gearboxes and shafts to wherever we're building our stuff. And because of that, I'm actually going to be using the creative motor. It's going to make my life a little bit easier, it's going to make things a little bit tidier, but you know that whenever I use a creative motor, that means that's where we're going to be plugging in our shaft power, our rotational power, our stress units. So now why don't we go ahead and start our very first project together. We're going to be making a cobblestone generator. Not the one behind me, but this is a nice example of a small scale one. But cobblestone is a super important material that we're going to need to generate, and we're going to need a lot of it. So up here, we have got 3 examples of cobblestone generators. We've got a small one, a medium one, and a rather overkill one. We're going to start with a small one. This little setup here, we can generate 8.5 cobblestone every single second. The main problem is, it's not lossless. We are losing a lot of cobblestone, mostly due to item physics. I suppose we could try and wrap this up a little bit better, but we do end up losing a little bit of cobblestone no matter what. Now we're onto the medium one, which we're going to be building today, but this one is generating 16 cobblestone every single second, and it's basically the big brother to the first version. However, this one loses a lot less cobblestone, so it's not completely lossless, but it's almost lossless. And now let's have a very quick gander at an insane version. So this one here generating 60 cobblestone every single second and is completely lossless. That's because we're taking advantage of the fact that this is a contraption, which means it's got an internal inventory, as you can see the barrels in there. So as soon as it breaks a block, it picks it up itself and unloads it then with 0 losses. So this is the cobblestone generator that we're going to be building today. The reason I'm choosing this one is it does provide a decent amount of cobblestone, and it doesn't require any fancy knowledge in order to set up. And it's also extremely survival friendly. So let me get some bits together now, and I'll meet you down there where we're going to set up our very first machine. So let's build ourselves a cobblestone generator. So right here, this is where we've got our rotational power coming in. That's either going to be from the windmill or the water wheel, however it's going to be very, very slow. An easy way to fix that is to get yourself a large cogwheel. You'll take a small cogwheel and we'll come off to the side. Then on the front of that small one, we're going to put down a large cogwheel. Then we're going to go small again. And as you can see, the speed is going up considerably. And this is called using gear ratios. Now, eventually it'll tell you that you're overstressed, you're going too fast. At that point, you either want to slow it down a little bit by removing some of these, or you're going to add some more rotational power by making your windmill bigger, or adding even more water wheels. So I've extended out our shaft now, and in front of that, we're going to put down a parallel line of shafts. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 conveyor belts. We're going to go 1, 2, and 3. Now we can actually remove those. And what we're going to do is we're going to just make these as long as we can. For now, we can cut these back a little bit later. And I'm doing this by using a conveyor belt on the end of a belt, just to make it a little bit longer. Next, why don't we get ourselves 24 of our chutes, and we're going to need to put 12 on this first belt here. Then we're going to skip the middle belt, and we're going to do 12 on this outside belt. What this is allowing us to do is make it as lossless as possible. Then you're going to get yourself any kind of building block. I'm going to use glass because it makes it easier for you guys to see what's on the inside. We're going to put 3 across there, and we're going to put 3 across here. Next, we're going to take some cobblestone and we're going to pop it on top of every single chute, because this is where our cobblestone is actually going to generate. And now for the most expensive part of today's build. We're going to need to get ourselves 24 mechanical drills, which is going to use a lot of andesite alloys to begin with. We're going to need some andesite casings and some iron ingots. Thankfully, if you are using JEI, it's very easy to work out how to make these items. But don't worry, in a future episode, I'm going to show you how to automate the wazoo out of those as well. So for these mechanical drills, we need to put one on every single piece of cobblestone. So right here, if I jump and right click, you'll see it facing upwards. We could take our wrench and turn it around. That's not ideal. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take our drill, we're going to hold down crouch, and we're going to jump, and that'll place it facing away from you. So we can hold down crouch now and go across all of these. If I let go of crouch, you'll see it, facing the wrong way again. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go along here, holding crouch, and we're going to place one on every single cobblestone. And you should end up with something that looks a little bit like this. Now we're going to extend our walls up just a little bit. Same on the other side. Next up, we're going to take some shaft and we're going to send it right down the center. That makes waterlogging things a little bit easier. And now we're going to take our water bucket and we're going to waterlog every single shaft. Now there's one ingredient left that we're going to need in order to make cobblestone, and that is going to be lava. So why don't we build ourselves a lava chamber right now? So coming behind our chutes now, we're going to add in a layer of blocks, then a second layer of blocks. Then along the outside, we're going to add a couple more layers of blocks like so. Just make sure we don't put anything else against this cobblestone. Then against our mechanical drills, all we need to do is place down a ton of lava. Now, if we were to try and sneak inside here now, it's going to spill out some water, I know, but if I was to break one of these cobblestone, another one should generate. Yay, it's working. Right, let me plug the hole, because water in Minecraft is evil. And then all you need to do is repeat the same process for the other side, and you'll end up with something that looks a lot like this. And we're almost done. All we need to do now is supply some rotational power to these drills, and it's going to start generating cobblestone. So to keep it really cheap, what we're going to do is we are going to place down a shaft on every single mechanical drill that we've got here. Then we're going to take one of our mechanical belts, we're going to click the first one, click the last one. All of these now are powered by the same belt. We're going to do the same on the other side. Then we're going to come to the beginning of our belt now. Up here, we're going to pop down another 2 shafts. We're going to connect those with a belt. Then we're going to come to any side, and we're going to extend this out 3 blocks. Then we're going to come back to here. We need to put down one more shaft into the center there by just right-clicking. Then on the end of this belt, we're going to throw down some shafts just to bring the rotational power down to our level. Now let's pop on a vertical gearbox. Then from our belt here, we're going to throw in another shaft, and we should now have cobblestone generation, my friends. Yes, vertical logistics, happy days. Now I'm going to turn this off for now because unfortunately we don't have a way to collect these items. That's where my most favorite block from the recent update is going to come into play. That block being the item vault. I absolutely love this new block. It is wonderful and I'll show you so many ways to use it in this series. And a quick note about this, by the way, is you're going to want your belt to be running at maximum speed. Thankfully, belts don't actually require any stress units, so you could set up a separate drive system over here just for belts, crank the speed up to maximum, because unfortunately there is a little bit of a bottleneck when the cobblestone drops through. It kind of gets stuck because this one's generating faster than that cobblestone can get from that one all the way down. So make your belts maximum speed, and for the drills then you can just have them at whatever speed that you can afford. But we're going to take our item vaults now, we're going to need 9 of them in total, and we're going to make a little structure like this. This is now a multi-block structure. Then where it connects to our belt, we're going to throw down an andesite funnel. Not entirely certain that andesite is going to be strong enough for this, might need to upgrade to brass. But let's give this a go, so let's go ahead now, plug it back in. And in fact, why don't we actually make our belt the fastest speed possible, And then let's plug our drills into a separate system then that's going to be cranked up to maybe 32. And let's see if our funnels can keep up. Oh yes, they can. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to slowly crank up the speed of our drills to see how much our andesite funnels can actually keep up with. So right now that we are rotating at 128, and it does appear to be keeping up with that. I am well impressed, actually. Let's see if we can go any faster. I wonder if we can do max speed. I bet we can't do max speed. And would you believe it? Running at max speed, the andesite funnels can actually keep up. I don't give these andesite funnels enough credit, I don't think. But as you can see from their tooltip above, that we are generating a lot of cobblestone, which is wonderful. Now this storage, almost full, so that means our system is going to slowly shut off. So what we can actually do is take another 9 of these item vaults, right click on here, we're going to double the size of the storage. And again, and again, and again, we can add more and more storage, which is honestly why it's one of my favorite blocks. Now the one drawback for the item vault is you can't actually access its inventory. Instead you can only pull out of it with automation, such as an andesite funnel. You can just slap one on the side, it's going to just drop out items, you can pick them up like that. We're going to use that in the future to be able to unload this onto belts, sending it down the factory line in order to actually process it into other things. So now that you guys know how to automate cobblestone, in the next episode we're going to be tackling wood, because that's another thing that we are going to need a lot of. But that is going to do it for today's episode, so if you are enjoying yourself, then remember to hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments how you like to automate cobblestone. But thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye guys. Oh, and one more thing before you go. Happy New Year, my friends.